Okay, guys, this is really important. Let's just keep this real. Every one of the people on this debate stage wants the ring of power. They want to be your ruler, and they want to exponentially increase the power and presence of government in your life. Joe Biden wants more government, Kamala Harris, Cory Booker, Bernie Sanders, Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, Steyer, Buttigieg, and yes, even Gabbard and Yang. They promise to be good masters, but they mean to be your masters. They want to set the policies and force you to submit to those policies. People say Yang is different because they operate under the delusion that voting for an oppressor is how we achieve freedom and security in a cruel world filled with evil people who want to do evil things to us. People like Yang want to protect us and give us stuff. Historically, though, if you take what a government psychopath, and guys, that's what they are, fully loaded, narcissistic, power-hungry psychopaths. And of course they're psychopaths. They're running for the highest government office in the land. What other person do you know in your life who wants to accumulate a monopoly on force and power? It's just not normal or natural. If you take what these future overlords want to give you, you'll always have to give away more of your wealth and more of your freedoms. And those who give up essential liberty for a little politically promised security deserve neither liberty nor security. So Andrew Yang is rising in the polls, and people have willingly abandoned reason and logic to check into his cult of personality. Yang, like every politician who ever lived or ever will live, is your enemy who wants to continue on with the convoluted political process of lies, deception, the employment of euphemisms, and the pushing of expensive and nonsensical freedom-restricting policies.
Mr. Yang.
Sure. Thank you.
Mr. Yang, you've made a virtue of your outsider status. You've never served in the military or in government. What has prepared you to respond to a terrorist attack or a major disaster?
Well, first, I just want to stick up for Tom. We have a broken campaign finance system, but Tom's been spending his own money fighting climate change. And you can't knock someone for having money and spending it in the right way, in my opinion.
Thanks, Andrew.
No problem. As Commander-in-Chief, I think we need to be focused on the real threats of the 21st century. And what are those threats? Climate change, artificial intelligence, loose nuclear material, military drones, and non-state actors.
So in Yang's opinion, spending money on climate change is a good thing. Little Miss Greta would be proud.
How dare you? How dare you?
Climate change tops Yang's list of real threats. He wants to be the nation's climate cult leader. And nobody's debating that the climate's changing. It changes all the time. What Yang, of course, means by this is that humans are the main cause of climate change because they are gross CO2 emitters, and we're causing Earth's overall temperatures to rise, the ice caps to melt, the seas to rise, and other weather-related catastrophes that jeopardize our lives. And of course, the answer for those in the cultic church of climatology is that the government has to step in and save the planet. It's as ludicrous an idea as falling into the Nile River and expecting a school of piranha to carry you safely back to the boat.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
If there was a climate change crisis, it's surely caused by the people in government, the very people who say they're going to fix the problems they actually caused.
There are only 2 countries in the world that don't have paid family leave for new moms, the United States of America and Papua New Guinea. That is the entire list, and we need to get off this list as soon as possible. I would pass paid family leave as one of the first things we do. I have 2 kids myself who are 4 and 7, one of whom is autistic and has special needs, and it's breaking families' backs. We need to start supporting our kids and families from the beginning, because by the time they're showing up to pre-K and kindergarten, in many cases they're already years behind. Studies have shown that 2/3 of our kids' educational outcomes are determined by what's happening to them at home. This is stress levels, number of words read to them as children, type of neighborhood, whether a parent has time to spend with them. So we need to have a freedom dividend in place from day one, $1,000 a month for every American adult, which would put, in many cases, $2,000 a month into families' pockets so that they can either pay for childcare or, if they want, stay home with the child. We should not be pushing everyone to leave the home and go to the workforce. Many parents see that trade-off and say if they leave the home and work, they're going to be spending all the money on childcare anyway. In many cases, it would be better if the parent stays home with the child.
We need to have a freedom dividend in place.
Freedom dividend. Yang shows that he likes government euphemisms just as much as the next run-of-the-mill politician. The freedom dividend is another term for more extortion foisted on the American people. Yang says, I'm going to give you free money. You don't have to do anything for it. $1,000 a month for every man and woman over the age of 18, no questions asked. But just remember before you hold out your hand and grab that stack of government cash. A government that's big enough to give you everything you want is big enough to take everything you've got. There are no free lunches and there is no free $1,000. And he's right about one thing. When the government gives you stuff, there are no questions asked. There are demands issued. When you accept something from government, you allow them to sink their evil talons into you just a little bit further. And Yang wants to speed up that sinister control over Americans by literally creating a welfare state on steroids.
I would say the days of meddling in American elections are over, and we will take any undermining of our democratic processes as an act of hostility and aggression.
Every candidate, Republican and Democrat, feverishly defends the social engineers and the banking masters' election process, which is really a selection process. This so-called election process is and has been for a long time a powerful instrument of control to keep the slaves happy while they remain in bondage on the plantation, a plantation they don't think they're working on. The rulers who truly operate the levers of power know that there are none more hopelessly and completely enslaved than those who falsely believe they're free. And nothing creates that illusion quite like allowing the servants to vote for a new master once in the course of years. If voting really secured individual liberties, the slaves wouldn't be allowed to do it.
And it's made it so that we can't even trust our own democracy.
Guys, we don't want to trust democracy. Democracy is evil because its main plank is built on the misguided and utterly immoral concept that the majority can rule the minority. Now, right here is what every Yang ganger and really every American needs to hear. And it's almost unbelievable that Yang is so blatant about his intent here.
The third thing I would say is that we're going to live up to our international commitments. We're going to recommit to our partnerships and alliances, including NATO. And it was James Mattis that said that the more you invest in diplomacy, the less you have to spend on ammunition. That has to be the path forward to help build an international consensus, not just against Russia, but also to build a coalition that will help us put pressure on China in terms of their treatment of their ethnic minorities and what's going on in Hong Kong. I want to propose a new world data organization, like a WTO for data, because right now, unfortunately, we're living in a world where data is the new oil and we don't have our arms around it. These are the ways that we'll actually get Russia to the table and make it so they have to join the international community and stop resisting appeals to the world order.
Thank you, Mr. Yang.
What the hell did you just say?
And stop resisting appeals to the world order.
So Yang wants us to recommit to entangling international alliances, build an international consensus and coalition, create a new world data organization, and force everybody to stop resisting appeals to the world order.
I want to propose a new world data organization, like a WTO for data.
And stop resisting appeals to the world order.
Stop resisting. The two favorite words of every psychopathic control freak. Andy Yang wants to empower the New World Data Organization and force everybody to stop resisting appeals to the New World Order. George H.W. Bush would be proud.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
And stop resisting appeals to the world order.
Guys, that's about as evil as you can get. But at least Yang is open about it. Now, let's see how many people continue to stay on this guy's train in spite of his sinister, anti-American, anti-human New World Order plan. Please like and share this video with everybody you know everywhere you can on social media, and leave your thoughts about this for the world and the Google Thought Police in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video.